Hey guys, Gaoranger here, and welcome back to another review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the SMP supermodeling project Gaoking from Hyakujuu Sentai Gaoranger for Gaoranger's 25th anniversary. As you can see, as for the norm of the Super Sentai Mini Club, we each get 5 individual mechas for the 5 rangers represented in the show, and each one is intricately detailed and intricately built. Between both moderates and extremely hard, and I'll get into the gripes I have with these figures in a minute. So let's go ahead and take a look at each figure individually, starting off with Gao Lion. So here we have Gao Lion, or for Wild Force fans, the Blazing Red Lion. As you can see, represented in the Super Mini Club fashion, it's extremely tiny, but it's definitely got the proportions and the overall detail correct. As you can see here, pretty much everything on here is entirely accurate to the original DX toy, as well as the previous mini-plum models, while also adding a little bit more detail to it. And surprisingly, there is no stickers included on this guy at all, so you can be just as rough with him as you always will be. And in terms of articulation, there's plenty of just standard movement outside of the transformation. As you can see here, we got individual little paw movements. Of course, you can also move the front leg, or the front calf, as well as the front leg out, just by a little bit there. Of course, you move the hind legs just as far back, so you can get some decent running animations out of it, like so. The tail is also on a hinge joint, but that's more or less for the transformation into Gao King's formation. As for the head, you do get some side-to-side movement. You can't really move it, but you can do it side-to-side. And one thing that is worth mentioning is that it does actually have the option to be pulled out, but again, that's more or less for the transformation in mind. Nice, beautiful metallic green paint for the eyes, which aren't stickers, which is a great thing, because eye stickers are a pain in the ass. You do get an opening jaw feature right there. That's its own little separate piece. And of course you do get this little main piece right here, but that's more or less for the transfer for this little gimmick here, which doesn't really work all too well in my personal opinion, because often it would get stuck, and this little lever here doesn't always do the trick. You also do get these little black bars, which are for the combination tabs, and this is screen accurate to the show as well as the model. Of course, you actually do get this little cavity right there for the transformation peg on Gao Bison. But overall, just a really neat little figure. It's definitely a nice little palm size. And for comparison, here it is next to another Shoto brand figure. Here is the Digimon's Shoto X Zudomon for that comparison. Here it is next to the Shoto X Metal Garurumon, just to get a general size comparison out of that. And of course, here it is next to something relatively bigger but still small. Here it is next to the Zenkaiger's Zenkaiju gear. You can see there. Now we got this out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at the Noble Eagle, this being Gao Eagle. Now, talking while Gao Lion was a pretty simple build, Gao Eagle was the most complicated to build, or in this case, the most intricate, and it's pretty much the most complicated model out of the bunch, in my opinion, because of all the little mechanisms and parts that are inside of it, such as the opening and closing beak feature. But one minor complaint is that the bottom beak here is not on a hinge, but the front head is. So if you want to get any opening head features, you gotta use the head, clamp it down, and then open it from there. But I mean, okay, well, I wouldn't say the beak is one solid piece. I mean, it is on a hinge, but it's a very stiff hinge, as shown here. Of course, you do have the little claws here, which actually do have little heel spur, little claw heels at the back. This isn't plastic, left over from the runners. And of course, you do, well, I mean, you can technically close up the little feet. You can't do that all the way because, like I just demonstrated, these things do tend to break easily. And having this thing in the combined mode is a little bit of a pain. You can see we have Gao King's head right there, which is visible head syndrome. But overall, though, the back tail detailing is really nice, and this is on a hinge. Well, I mean, this is more for the ball joint, but there actually is a hinge on the actual back tail piece, because you can lift this up, you can lift it downwards like that, so you can have Gao Eagle be resting right there. Of course, you do get this little gold piece right there. No stickers on this guy as well, much like with Gao Lion. And of course, you do get the eagle wings right here, which can go up and down and move side to side, but the side to side functionality is more or less for the transformation. And of course, for size comparisons, here it is next to that of Garurumon again. And here it is next to Zudomon, just for genuine size comparisons there, like that. Now let's go ahead and get into the next model on this list, and that is the Surging Shark, Gao Shark. Now, on a personal level, Gao Shark is probably one of my favorite models out of it, just because with all the overall, just the simplicity of the build, but also with the functionality of it once the thing is completed. Unlike with the last two models, this thing does have a couple stickers, this being the little silver bits on the fins, both the front and the back. I mean, both the front fin and the dorsal fins. Nothing on the bottom, which is understandable because, I mean, it's stickers. But there is the sticker detailing on the crest back here, but this is, again, more for the Gao King transformation. As you can see, it's got a really nice looking centerpiece here. The eyes aren't stickers, which is always appreciated. Nice, vibrant gold, as well as some pearl gold plastic for the gills pieces. And of course, you do get an opening jaw feature, much like with the rest of the Gao, with the power animals. And one thing that I actually did find interesting is that when I was finished completing this, this section was built in a little bit deeper than the right here was built in a little bit deeper than the left. And then I started fiddling with it, and it turns out that the fin here actually works like a gill, because if you're moving this thing, it's going to give the illusion that it actually is moving alongside with it. And that's also nice in of itself, because it gives a little bit more to the imagination. And you can technically extend this part outwards. Okay, maybe not all the way outwards. You can extend it slightly outwards like that to give more into the whole illusion that it's moving on its own. But again, this is more or less for the transformation to give extra articulation to it. And of course the tail is also on a hinge, but again, this is more for the Gao sword for the final combination. But overall, this is probably one of my favorite models, just for the simplicity of it and the intricacy of it, as well as the little fin gimmick as well, even with the thing in its primary mode. Next up, let's go ahead and take a look at the Iron Bison, Gao Bison. So here we have Gao Bison, one of the intricate builds of this whole model kit, and the most difficult in my opinion, just because with the multiple moving parts to it, as well as just the overall, like, the frustrations that I got building this thing wasn't necessary, but at the same time, it's very difficult to keep all the moving parts and all the pegs and such inside of it, even before building this thing. And one thing that is worth mentioning is that I can't for the life of me get this section to be fully clasped in all the way. This is about as far as it will get, but I mean, unfortunately that is a minor nitpick because it's probably how I built the thing, but I mean, it's just a minor complaint. But overall, Gao Bison here is the chonkiest boy of them all. It's definitely thick in all sorts of areas here. You definitely do get some sticker detailing though for the shins here, which is also the Megazord's feet, as well as the red stickers on here. And of course you do get these nice golden hoof pieces to sort of round it out. And this is all on a hinge here, but again, this is all more for the two functionalities to it. For the mecha combinations, you actually do get two little stickers on the back sides here. And the rest is all just printed detailing as well as these golden horns, which can be adjustable depending on how you want to pose them as well. And you get this nice pearl gold molding into the plastic, as well as this other molded detailing in the back as well. And of course there actually is a lot of functionality with this little guy, because you actually do get to open up the entirety of Gao Bison and revealing the naked bull that he is. But this actually does play more into the trailer transformation, which we will get to in a minute. But overall, though, it's a nice little addition. And of course, also, this thing is connected by just one lousy little peg at the back here. just reconnect those there. Keep the build nice and sturdy. And of course, for comparisons, here he is next to Zudomon. And of course, here he is next to Hyakujuu. But yeah, overall, the most frustrating build of the bunch, but I can't really hate it because the overall representation of it once it's finished is all nice and dandy, like so. But now let's go ahead and get into the final build of the sets, and this is being the Noble Tiger, Gao Tiger. So here we have Gao Tiger, one of the more complicated transformations out of the bunch, but it's still on the relative side of building this thing. However, though, this does take the most stickers because you do got 2 little stripe stickers on here, 2 on the back of the hind legs as well, a couple on the top of the head as well as the sides of the head, and of course these 2 pink stickers right here, which are already showing signs of peeling because I'm bad at stickers. But overall, though, articulation-wise, you do get the front legs to move out just a little bit. You get a little foot paw there. Front leg can move out that far and move back that far, but that's more for the transformation. Back leg can move relatively upwards like that, and of course it can move forward, but not by much. And of course, as always with the original, you do get the stickers for the tiger formation, and of course you can technically have it do yoga and such, or roll it up into the ball for the ball attack. But again, this little hinge joint here is more or less for the transformation. So the proper way to display it is like that. And of course, like with all the power animals, you do get an opening mouth feature like that. And of course, the head is on a ball joint. It can only move side to side though, no up and down movement, which is a little bit of a takeaway, but it's a nice addition, if I could say that. But overall, though, just a neat little build here. And, of course, the tiger tail can move up and down, but that's more or less for the transformation. But now that we got all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and get back into the comparisons. Here it is next to Gaoranger. And, of course, here he is next to Zudomon. Now that we got all of that noise out of the way, let's go ahead and bring all the power animals back together and talk about the combinations. Now, the first combination we are going to talk about is, of course, the power trailer combination, which is only exclusive to the toy and was never seen in the show. And then after that, we're going to take a look at the Gao King formation. So here we have the power trailer formation. As you can see through the struggling of the time-lapse, none of these guys connect to the base or anywhere on the backside, which is a little bit of a minor pet peeve because it's all on balance. But once you get every power animal in balance, the overall performance in the show and all is definitely worth the wait. And the thing does roll. Granted, you have to do it relatively slowly, but the set does come with quite a few wheels to put on there, and they actually do roll, so you can roll and knock off Gao Shark in the process. But yeah, it's all a matter of balance when it comes to the trailer formation. But relatively speaking, though, there is some upside to it. The fact that they said that you could do pretty much everything that you could with the original toy and do it here with the Mini-Pla version, and I think that was a really nice addition. They didn't really have to give us the trailer formation, but it was nice that they included it for Bandai and everything. Now that we got all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and get right into the main event, this being the Gao King. So, without further ado, roll the clip. Transformation to Gao King is both complex, but also fairly simple. Aside from removing certain parts on the power animals, and of course rearranging other parts, the transformation in and of itself is a decent transformation. I mean, it's a lot more simple than the other Mini-Plas that I do have in my collection that we'll talk about in a minute. But I think one of the major complaints, though, is combining Gao Bison with the overall mecha combination. But once you get past those flaws and finagle all the joints to make sure everything's into place, the end result is incredible, if I can say so myself. Because looking at this thing, my God, am I getting nostalgia. The figure itself upon completion is really sturdy and none of the joints are loose, which is great because these things are just rubbing on plastic and it's all in a model kit fashion. Articulation-wise, you get your standard articulation such as in and out movements, up and down at the elbow, and 360-degree rotations at the arm, and of course a pivot at the overall elbow joint. Of course, the typical beautiful spread. However, the one complaint that I do have is, of course, the connections on Gao Black are a little bit loose on mine because the pegs are really, really stiff. So more often than not, this will happen. But getting past that complaint, though, the overall figure is fun to pose and it's really nice to handle if you don't mind a few pieces here or there becoming loose in the process. There are also room for accessories because, like the original toy, you can remove the tail from the shark and, of course, articulate it to the sword position and, of course, open up this little latch in between the shark's mouth, and therefore now you have the Gao sword from the show. However, though, if you don't like tiny, dainty little swords, you can upgrade with this more high-end, sort of thinned-out sword, which is really nice and really does the dynamic poses justice. Emphasis on dynamic. Bandai and Shoto really didn't skip out on giving us everything we wanted for the Super Mini-Pla line because they gave us both the standard Megazord head and the roaring face, which is excellent for poses such as this for the overall show. But enough ranting, let's go ahead and get to the size comparisons. Here it is next to the Zyuohger's Dodekaio, the Muteki Shogun, one of my first mini-plas, and finally one of my more recent ones, the Zenkaiger's Jurangaon. I know I said that I'm not much of an action figures guy time and time again, but I am willing to try out the mini-pla line as long as it piques my interest, and when I saw that they were doing Gaoranger for both this and the Shoto minifigures line, I really do want to invest in that because, honestly, it's just all for the pure nostalgia for both Wild Force and that Gaoranger is one of my favorite Sentai seasons. But, however, though, aside from a few minor complaints, but that's all on me because I was constructing the damn thing. But if you guys like the Super Mini-Pla line, they are coming out with both the Gao God set, the Gao Hunter, and, of course, the primary set for Gao Knight. But, however, if you don't really like that stuff, good luck trying to find the rest of the Gaoranger mecha on eBay, Mercari, all that other stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching this week's video. If you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe for more content, and join us next time when we take a look at the DX Vi Stamp bars and Jackal Vi Stamp from Kamen Rider Revice. Gaoranger 90, signing out. See you guys next time.